Hello, motivational strategies and changing trends. Under this podcast series, this is next episode. I'm going to try presentation mastery. I'm going to take a topic and will try to explain with presentation. I have not created the slides before. So this is take one. I'm going to create the slides now. And in take two, I will make into a presentation. Okay, so let me share my screen. All right. So the topic is hi. I have done the presentation before. We are now going to create the slides for it and we'll elaborate it more. So let's first jot down the points. What is hi and what's the significance? Sorry about the spell mistakes. Then we will see brief history, brief brief explanation about the constituent languages which are part of Pi. And then we'll explain uh, uh, we'll explain one language writing systems, brief history, how it has influenced the civilizations. Okay, so that's the points we will make the that's the points we'll make the presentation. Now I will go to ChatGPT. So we'll use the modern tools. I have the login with me. So I will be logging as me so that it will make sure that it is the prompt we gave in this presentation. Okay, so let me log in. Sorry about my computer, it's slow, but okay, it is I have logged in, so it shows it's logged in. Okay, so I will ask the first prompt. What is pi in terms of linguistics? So I give the prompt. Okay, so what it says is pi is a hypothetically reconstructed languages that was believed spoken around 4000 to 2500 before the common era. And it says proto, that means it's just a common ancestor. So the belief is today, if you see here, what are the pies that English, Hindi, Spanish, Greek, Latin, Persian, Sanskrit. So it is not that one language has evolved into all of these. What it says is something called pi is the common ancestor. That means from that common ancestors, the words are borrowed into these many languages. That's what it means. So one language is not, it's not like Latin is derived from German or uh, Sanskrit is derived, Sanskrit is the origin, and all the languages are derived from it. It's not like that. It was a common ancestor or common group of languages. The words are borrowed into this. Now, why this is important? If you see these geographically, all these languages are pretty far apart. Why 40 to 50% words are common? Because the language structure is different, but the words are common. They are given one example here. We'll go over that afterwards. Why so many words are common? That was the point. Now, if you ask me, even Latin, Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, they have so many words common. Reason, they were in the vicinity. They are just beside each other. Commerce was going through that. The scriptures or literature of the scriptures or religion was common. That made the words go into or borrowed from here to here. That's not here. If you see these languages, they were not part of the same thing, or they are not part of the vicinity. They were not part of the geography. Really, religion was different. And if you see the era, that is most important, because if it is something like 4,000 to 5, like 5,000 years before common era, that means the religion or all other things did not take any part of it. So that's why this is important. All right. So I told why this is important, or why this is, first of all, why the hypothesis came. Now let's go into why the hypothesis came. When the sea routes were developed, the Silk Route started diminishing. The importance of Silk Route started diminishing. The commerce started flowing from the sea roads. When the uh, Western powers were coming to East, they had to learn one language, Farsi. When they were coming to Indian subcontinent, none of the people were actually speaking that as their mother tongue, but that was the language of the kings. The people need to learn that language, the colonial powers need to learn that language, and they will be able to speak to the people in the king, and that's how they will be able to do the commerce. When they were doing that, they started understanding that so many words are common, or how it is easy. Even the language structure is different, but the words were so same. That's how one guy started doing the research, and his name was Max Muller. So let me ask ChatGPT. Okay. So it's Frederick Max Muller. He was German-born linguistic and philologist. He started doing the comparative linguistics. He was the first one to started developing and popularizing the study of comparative linguistics. Sorry about that. I'm in the another call. I will call you back. And he established this theory, Proto-Indo-European languages, because that's how people, because he was so fascinated that so many words are showing the common things. The Nordic branch, Germanic branch, the Baltic branch, the Russian or uh, Cyrillic branch, the Eastern Iranian, and up to you call Greek and Roman languages, Romance languages. How those many words are common when they were so far apart from the geography perspective. Now, here is the answer comes. We can see now, right? Let's take Suez Canal or let's take Panama Canal. What is the role of Mediterranean? connects everybody. Correct? Our Atlantic, all the commerce flows there. What was there 5,000 years before Common Era? The role of Mediterranean or role of Atlantic was played by Caspian Sea, the Central Asians. I want to give this statement. The Central Asians traversed the entire globe. I don't know how many thousand years back. They were the ones reached everywhere. What we discovered in the new era, Antarctica. Otherwise, all other continents and even the islands were already visited. And majority of them started from the Central Asia. Those tribes used to travel everywhere. And that's the major reason the linguistics were they were started taking the linguistic along with them, and the words started coining into it. They moved the language apart from the commerce. So that was the major thing. How all these things would have happened. Now, if we are going to 5,000 years back, then the groups where keeps on moving. So currently, what you see that may not be the picture 5,000 years ago. That's what I want to say. The people kept on moving, the groups kept on moving, and when we say something today, that is from that time onwards. That's what we have to say, because things kept on changing in between, and we really cannot say uh, what we see now was there or that's the precursor of it. It may not be like that. So that's the major point we want to see. The things kept on moving, and we uh, uh, as commerce, because of the slowness of the logistic, like people will move, then the entire generation will shift, and then the other thing will take up. So that's how it happened. Okay, so we went into the history, geography, and how the things are common and why they are common. So we are coming up to that. So the PIE something is a precursor, and that is common between all the Central Asia, and they were traversed everywhere. This study, what I'm talking about, is from the Wikipedia, or I read the encyclopedia written books, and the Russians, they were doing this study around after World War. And they theorized that these many areas may be the first one to start the linguistic, and then that's how we see the Ukrainian languages or the Lithuanian and Baltic, the Nordic and Germanic branch, and then Romance languages, and then the East Iranian languages are common. So that's how the theory goes. So I told about the history and how it came. The theory was made based upon the practices, linguistic practices or religious practices. Now, how we study the history, like how we found out there are dinosaurs 2 million years, like how many million years ago, we don't know. We see the fossils, right? We see the fossils in the rocks or somewhere underground, and then we find out, okay, these bones, they found one bone, and then the computer model suggests that, okay, its entire body may be like that. If the tooth is this much, that means the entire body is like this. That's how they theorize, correct? What is the fossil here? That's the Sanskrit language, because that language was a elite language, not like a daily spoken language. That's why it didn't change. Whatever we see, that is as is preserved. It has lost, that much we can say. The word Sanskrit means culture. The language was called something different before that. When it goes through multiple grammatical grammar, the grammar is like a mathematical rules. So they were putting the grammatical rules, and that's how we can trace the history of the language. What was written in that language? Mostly the Vedas. Now, what we see today's Vedas, those are mostly developed in the Himalayan region, that we understand. But what was lost, that something in between tells us that something was there before, because this language was transmitted through memorization and not written records. So that's how it preserved. But feminine loss of habitat, so many things it might have lost. Certain things in that, if you study the Vedas or Vedas, that's what the Max Muller was doing. He found out that certain verses in the Rig Veda cannot be from this region. They have to be, because whatever they are explaining in the verses, most of the Veda verses they will be praise gods or praise natural deities. So in Vedas there are mostly they will be nature deities, sun, moon, stars, all kind of thing, nature elements apart from gods as well. So whatever the theory it's narrates, it sometimes tells us that okay, this thing cannot be indecision. For example, there is one very classic example I wanted to give, or it is very prominently given all the time, that the Vedas suggest that at some point on Earth, the sun circles around your head every day. So that was the point they were theorizing that it cannot be in Himalayan region because that's not just a poetic concept. It was certain more things are there. So that must be they. It must be developed somewhere other place like probably the Arctic region or around near Arctic region, and then that verse must have kept following, and then it might have in the Rigveda part of the Rigveda's writing. So that was the another theory was suggested, and it is proven like that. So it is like a fossil, as I said, it's a living fossil because thing did not change at all. Since it's not a spoken language of like a mother tongue, as a mother tongue I'm talking about, only elites and the scholars used to use that language, and they used to develop the literature into it. It was not, so it wouldn't change the like the way normal spoken languages change. That's why it kept a lot of thing like it will be uh, we can see very clearly how the grammar changed, how the grammatical rules kept on adding. The word Sanskrit means culture is the like the top phase of it. Before that, there were multiple phases, and it just kept on adding up. And then current grammatical rules are like a mathematics. It's a linguistic calculus. That's what I wanted to say. We'll go over that, but I will just to say you and how they developed it through the phonetical, how we create the sounds, the frequency, or how we utter the words because it goes through memorization. So you have to utter it exactly. That's what was the principle. If you see if you are like a, piano player, then you know they give you the chart and then you play the piano. And any song can play on that, right? Any language, it will rhyme like that. If you play the piano on that notes, any song, I mean, it doesn't matter which song comes first or the notes comes first. I'm not sure. I'm not musician. I apologize. But on that note, any other song can play. We have seen that there are certain multilingual songs are there. Like the song is developed in Spanish and then played in English, like translation in the same notes. So we see the similarity. It's exactly the principle is that. So they are like a notes, or they are called chanda. I mean, that's the latest word for that. But and there are multiple of it. So if you coin those words into that, then it rhymes exactly the same way. That is why it was easier to develop that complex poetry, and the grammatical rules made them easier to develop it, use it, and it was always the elite and the scholarly. It was used as a scholarly language, so it won't get adulterated by the speaking of different ways or over the time or place. It doesn't change. It's lost. Certainly, whatever we see is only the part of it. Rest of the thing has been lost, but it just gives us the okay how much probably the PIE of the Sanskrit can tell us. And the same PIE goes to the Latin, Germanic, Germanic branch, Nordic branch, and Eastern Balkan branch, all the places. Next thing. So PI is just a language family. There are all the great families, and every language has borrowed from each other at some point in time. So once you go to the total root, you will probably land that okay, the Egyptian hieroglyph or the Sumerian they started the language. So uh, everything has common roots anyway that we understand. But we are just talking about the PI branch of it, so I'm talking about that. But I mean, even PIE might have borrowed from something, so we don't know who borrowed from where or how PIE generated. Because PIE itself is a combination of things, so it must have borrowed the great thing. How we prove it? So if you come to the modern times, I will tell you two languages were developed like that. So if you go to the current day Afghanistan, the language called Dari, which was a developed language. It was the Persian language and common language, common. land language. They have made it to the courtiers or the kingsmen will develop it or speak it, or the Urdu language that was also developed like a very recent thing. Now we'll go over that common words. So so there are some words are there. So I want to give you a very another classical example. So if you go to Central Asia, how the countries are named: Stan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan. What is Stan? Stan, stay, sleep, place. See, the word is same. The Stan word comes from stay, or that's the origin, PIE of origin. So that's how those, there are several countries are named like that. Even if you think Armenia, the original name is Hayakistan. I mean, original or whatever the common name, uh, common way they call it, Hayakistan or Gurjistan. I think those, that's how they, and there are several areas are called like that. So the stan or stay, the words come from there. So that's a very wonderful thing about it. That will tell us that how uh, how these languages were connected, and it has some very important word. Now, for example, if you say the Afghanistan, so it's like a Ghana means like a place, or you can say Ghana is like a what you call a state in today's words, or like a common era. So that was one of the Ganpada, or like one of the uh, place which was governed by the one governor. It was like that. So there were several governors from when that name came, and all the other names are similar to similar origin of that. So that all these words, if you see, they can, you can trace back to Sanskrit today. And the same way, if you go to even Lithuania or Ukraine, they are able to do that in some way. So the pi was, where is the pi common ancestor? If you ask, then the history what I read is, it says somewhere in Ossetia they found the latest or oldest inscription, and then the language spread. But in Spain there is some language is still there, Basque or something, and it is not following the PIE. That means the original language of that land may be different, and this I might have influenced everything else. That's the only thing has been said as per the history. So it's a long narration of the history, but it's important. Now, why we need to understand? Okay, what does matter? Because now, if you go to the AI era, these languages will converge, and then everybody will start understanding everybody's language. So it will become like that. Why pi is important? Then why, same concept or same reason why we study the fossils, or why we study the dinosaurs. Like, we want to understand how the DNA is formed, right? How we go to the, there is a common ancestor of all the living beings, including tree, right? We know that Leroy, I forgot the name, but so that's how we understand, and that's a very beautiful way of understanding it, how culture developed. When you will go to the space, you know do you know, one day morning or any time of the day, our phone will ring like an emergency call and say, my fellow earthlings, this is your president speaking, and we are not alone. Don't you think that can happen, right? That call can come, that even you don't take it, it will still come. Don't you think? If it comes in our lifetime, that will be great. But that's why it's important, because how we were came, or how the life come on this and lost on the other two. That's the study. And then if you want to go further up, I mean, if you want to uplift it in this form, then so that's why this study is important, and it's wonderful. You will love it if you try to study things. You will understand so many things, and it's a very, I mean, it's not even just like a scholar studying some language and grammar. It's not like that. It will be fun as well if you try to study it. All right, so that's what it is about. I can put in terms of what is pi, what is significance. Explained. I explained the brief history and how it influenced the civilization. So we understood the highway in the 5,000 years before Common Era was the region which covered entire globe. I mean, they traveled, they navigated with those instruments using the stars, wind, and the currents. They navigated the entire globe, not the one what we do, what we study like 500, 600 back. That was done independently, but like several thousand years ago, this was already done. Even the geography, I mean, the sea levels may be different, but we can't say that the middle of the Pacific was never shallow. Pacific was never that much shallow that people walked there. So they must have navigate. They must have maritime navigation must be there. So that's how it tells us, and it's so. And we see how the civilization got influenced. And in the modern era, we understood now only we found Antarctica because the reason only because there was a roaring 40s in the southern oceans. Those winds, those navigation equipments cannot beat. So only thing new only found was that. But that doesn't stop us from this such interesting thing. So I wanted to create some interest in you, like why we are doing this or what's the theory behind it. I hope you must have liked it. So okay, let's move on. So what are the constituent languages? I explained in terms of branches. I mean, all the language are beautiful. If you want to understand, look at the poetry. If you want to go to the Japanese haiku or even Chinese languages or uh, in the uh, Hebrew, there are so many scriptures, beautiful, so wonderfully they sing so wonderfully, and uh, all the languages has the beautiful things. So once you start learning about it, I have just studied, that's what I'm talking about, but uh, it should not stop you from trying to learn these. You can study everything, and everything will be really beautiful if you want to understand the beauty. So it's like that. Okay, so the constitution again. So briefly, the Romance languages or the Latin is the precursor of it. The Latin was confluenced by whatever was existing, and we talked about it that there was a Italy name came from the Italy uh, tribes were there at the start. Then Latin came and then confluenced. Even Vatican is the goddess Vatica. We understand that Vatican is come from the Vatica, that was the goddess, and it was there like a burial mound or very religious mound was there. So from the ancestor worshipping was there. Now today where Vatican sits. Uh, Thai languages mainly are Thai languages. Why they come away? That much I can tell you, because if you go into linguistic now, just a coincidence, if you can see, even Aramaic was the language of the precursor of the languages of the Sumerian, Hebrew, and everything. Aramaic. Uh, how they differ, because there was something called Mount Ararat. I think that's where that name has been coined with the multiple things. Like Armenia sits here, then Aran. People call it Iran, but it was called Aran as well. Aran is the was the pronunciation. Some people use Aran. So those all those regions are goes with the Mount Ararat. So Aramic also goes with that, and it is called separate language. But some point in time it might have bifurcated, and then we got this because some linguists stays as only elite. That's why we are able to understand all the history behind it. But if you see, the people or group adopted the different culture. That's what we can see. It may not be they are the ones started. People adopted it. So today we see then people might have adopted that culture and that's how they go. But they all should be similar, same, and that's how was the uh, commerce was flowing from there. So that's the most significant part of it. So that's how we can study the linguistics, and that tells us that such a great history behind it. All right. So I think I explained influence, then constituent languages. So why Sanskrit? Because as I said, it's the one is preserving the most of the stuff, and we can see the thing very clearly, and that's how they created the model. Because otherwise, those words cannot be same uh, or similar or cannot be common origin. So something Thai has put that there, and that means where it comes from. Pi, I don't know, because even the Tamil or some other languages are also very old. So they might have put the words, original words might have come from there because the commerce was flowing from everywhere. So you can't say now like, okay, this is here from here or here from here. We can't say that. The Sanskrit word means culture. How the crown or how crown is created. Tell me how the crown comes. Crown is like a gold, beautifully decorated, then the pearls and the diamonds are implanted into it. Is it the start? Cannot be. Crown is not the start. The earth is the start where the gold came from. The diamond is the start where the even coal mine came from. Then pearl and everything might be from the ocean floor. Uh, and that's how the end result comes. Uh, since Sanskrit language was like so much linguistically uh, cultured and grammatically influenced, or rather, it's everything is grammar. Because if you don't use the grammar, that's not Sanskrit. If you don't utter it correctly, that means it's Prakrut. Prakrut means common. Like when you say Latin and vulgar Latin, right? It becomes like that. It will change immediately. So Sanskrit means if you have to do everything, then only Sanskrit. Not everybody goes to that level. There are students, that much we can say, but not everybody will be that level. Those are the ones who are the really elite scholar. They are the ones, and it was created through the phonetics. Science is behind it, so I wanted to put that afterwards. So okay, so that's the explanation of the uh, why we study it, what's the influence, or what's the why and everything. That's what, who, what, why, where, all the high W's I explained. Why we study these, or why it's important, that which we understood. All right. So um, okay, so we want to study one language with the writing systems. So that was the next thing. So let me go to ChatGPT now, and I asked explain different writing systems. Okay, so there are something called alphabetic. So these are the ones. Then the alphabets are from Latin and Cyrillic, and that's something called Abguida or alpha syllabary. So they are the consonant and vowel based systems. So these are the ones comes into it. Then Abjad, those are consonant only systems. So these are the ones. Okay, so I am not expert of everything. These are other syllabus, katakana. Here, these are the hieroglyphs, or probably these are the ones where the origin of the Sumerian. I mean, it is said that Sumerian are the ones first started the writing system, and there were the hieroglyphs, or I think so. It tells us now even they are, or where it came from, we don't know, because they are also exactly sitting on the Silk Road. So who started, we don't know, but that's how the records we see, probably the Sumerian ones first. And then, because if you see these type of things were in the Sumerian and in the Egyptian, what are the Rosetta Stone they found, these kind of symbols were there. So again, it maybe came from the east through the Silk Route. We don't know, and I'm not expert into that, so I won't go there. But my idea is to explain only about the Abugida. Okay, so because these are, I would say, used by the elites, and I don't know whether the writing came certainly later, because these were all in through memorization, and the language was not written. If you want to know, Sanskrit was written in Greek, in Aramaic, before the one they are writing it here, right? Sanskrit was written there. I mean, it was written in the Roman. If you say Greek means Greco-Roman. Greek is not Roman, but Cyrillic. So it was written in Greco-Roman first. When the Alexander king was coming, there are certain uh, uh, rock inscriptions are there, which are in Sanskrit, Greek, and Aramaic, and then the script is same for all of them. So the Sanskrit was written, uh, I think, before writing into the current system, it was written into the Aramaic as well as in the Greek as well, Greek script. So just wanted to tell you, because people think Sanskrit means they start reading this. Actually, this came as latter. It was written into first in other script. Okay. So Sanskrit, I would create Sanskrit first because it's a consonant and vowel based system. So let's start. Let's ask ChatGPT more about the uh, Abhiguda. So it will be big, very. It's a presentation itself. So I wanted to be brief. So Abhiguda means it's the Brahmi script. So Brahmi script is originated, according to historians, in Thailand or in the Burma. So there is a region called Burma, means the Brahmi. So that's the first inscription comes from there. And then it was used by the Indian continentals are using that writing system, which is based upon consonant and vowel. But the origin has been said there. Uh, so let's talk about the Devanagari script directly. So that's the one has been derived from the in the Abhiguda, and then the Okay, so what does mean by Devanagari? Devanagari means like a it's the scripts come from God. That's what it says. I mean, literally means it's from the God. You know the word Deus. So that's the word is here. So it is came from the Brahmi script. So if you want to study more about it, so let me just click on that. So it will tell us the brief history about it. Okay, so it was developed like this, and that's the precursor of the uh, it's the precursor of the origin. Yeah, so it is might be derived from here, and then it evolved like this. So that's what it says. And then in latter period, it was using the Gupta script. So that's the precursor of the Devanagari script. So Sanskrit is written in the very modern in terms of the other scripts because it was written earlier in different ways. So that's what I wanted to say. Uh, okay, so how how the let's see the writing explain. Okay, so uh, okay, so these are the consonants. How they have been organized. Now, if you go to abjad or alphabets, how they have been uh, organized. So A, B, C, D, alpha, beta, gamma, or alif, or gum. I apologize, but yeah. So if you see, but we don't know the order, right? Because why A comes first, then B, C. I mean, there are 26 letters. They have been just put randomly. Is that what we see? Because there is no clear sequence. Why A, B, C, apart from the C, has been used as a circle. Why didn't they develop two new letters? I don't know. Because they were using umlauts and then some other things. But why couldn't they just created a new letter? I don't know. We are not that, I'm not that expert. I mean, I'm not expert in that area at all. So uh, I'm just trying to explain here. So in this scripting, they are using the phonetic thing. The way, if you are a musician, you can see those notes, right? They written the notes. It's like how you will play it, and then the song will play on it. So that's exactly the way these writing system has been developed. So that's what I wanted to explain. There are five different categories are there. The way we utter the word. So first is called kha, or the throat or velar. So certain things we pronounce using throat only. Can you say kha without throat? Like try to use your tongue or lips. It will become kha will become different sound. See, you have to open the mouth and it has to come through the throat. So there are five words they have developed. So they are called kha, like some strong kha, kha. So if you want to translate in English, it will become like k h h h h, like kha. Then g or g, g, g. That again a strong G, GH, and something called some throat and the nose. That's called yeah. So that goes through the throatal nose. So the fifth letter will be always goes through the nose. That's how they organized it. So the first five letters are throatal or velar goes through the throat. Ha, ha, ga, za, yeah. The next is the ch. That is your palate. Ch. CH, that's the word. So if you want to do ch or chair, can you say chair through throat? You cannot. Chair. So you have to use the palate. Ch, ch. Ch is like CHHH. So strong C. Ch, ch. J, J, J. You are saying you are using palate. Ch, ch, j. And Z. Z is also the same word. Z means ch, ch, ch. N. Ch, ch, j, n. So that these are the five words. Last word will be coming from the nose. The next is th, that is your retroflex. You have to twist the tongue. I'm sorry. If you say he, right? th. So there is no two words in alphabets. T and T. The T is used for both the things. I mean, without retroflex and with palate. The th. See that they are using the same character, same letter represented, but those are two different pronunciation. So that, da, da. Like if you see the spelling THE. Now, if you go to the English speaking country, they will say the. But if you go to some Creole way of pronunciation, it will become da. I mean, they will say the sheep. I mean, the original. I have been with the conversation with some, and then the original speaking won't like that pronunciation. I can tell you, the sheep, the sheep. So the because some people will pronounce it other way. That's the difference. So you are using the palate, you are using the retroflex or dental. So the so there are five things which are retroflex. Pa, ha, da, dha, na. Okay, so these are accent because these are in alphabets. They have been represented by the same e and th. They are same. Th, that is your dental and retroflex are being used by same letters and they have been pronounced the way people like it. That's how when the things goes different, people start pronouncing differently. Uh, the, it's like maybe similar origin, but when used by different way. But they have been pronounced. If you are like a musician, you will make a two different notes out of it, correct? Like ha, ha. So ha is retroflex, tha is dental, ha, tha, the, no. So there are actually two letters, and then something is harsh of it, like a ta, 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 he, h, 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 ha, the, like the, d, h, 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 h. So it become like that. And then last letter is always goes through the nose. Then the p is your lips. P, 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 then strong p. That is p, p. B like B, b like B, H, H, H. And m is M. That is also you use lips for that. Then something called Mahaprana or that goes through your th. Th is actually considered goes through your whole vocal cord through nose like a. That's why it's called like a. It's like our breathe. So that's why it's called Mahaprana, but that is H. Then there are some letters are y is y. So y is part of is used as a vowel like a consonant, and so there are five letters are like that which are after these five groups. So those are called y is y. R, r is because you do multiple things. Certain languages are using that so that is strong. And if you are not, if you are like if you are not able to use your tongue correctly, so those sure, sure is also one of the little bit compound sound. So that is another compound because those makes a difference how you pronounce it in terms of meaning in sometimes. So that's how the importance of pronouncing it, and I think that's how they have kept the very detail on that how you pronounce it. It's like if you're playing that note and then if you play something different, then it will sound like incorrect too. So those who understand it, if one sound goes bad, they will understand it. Like even though it's an orchestra, even one note is not played exactly the way it should be, that will tell us the expert will like immediately will tell you, okay, no, it's not correct. So that's the thing behind it. Um, so then there are like vowels. So now A, E, I, O, U, those are the vowels. But here they have been used. So these vowels gets converted into this, and then it creates a different words. So for example, don't is actually created by do not don't like you join it. In English or in alphabets, there are very few things are there like that. Here it will be plenty or almost everywhere. They will always club because the pronunciation when you start fluently speaking it, it's like a cursive way. If you're writing digital way and cursive way, right? If you're cursive way means you create a different curves actually. Similar. When you combine the things, so the vowels and consonant gets combined and it creates several beautiful uh, things. It's like your mathematical expressions comes out of it. You can consider like that. I can tell you, you know the palindrome, right? So the word spelled left and word spelled right, it will give two. I mean, both ways it means something, correct? So if you go to palindrome, then you will get few words of it in English. If I can tell you, there is in Sanskrit there is a poem probably more than 100 lines long. If you read it like this, okay, it means something, and if you just put it other way, it will again rhyme as well as mean. That's how it's a linguistic. I mean, whatever you want to call it, it's so many things are there. That's how they, because all these things it's able to, they are able to do that because the grammatical rules, exact punctuations, and the lettering makes the things. You will be able to see several beautiful things because they will be able to create the words. They will be able to. Uh, you as a poet can create the words by combining different things, and then it will mean it. So that's how the poetry goes. All right, so that this tell you like how the words they make it like th plus that is th. Like they will make it full. Otherwise, so that two differences are there. Let me say th, so that means a is added to it. Then if you want to say elongate it, then tha. That means ah ah. You see how it rhymes. Thi, say kha, he, he. It's like that, and then it is always uh, elongated and the normal. Two sounds will be there. So that's how before after ha, ha, ki. And they the original letter gets added to the. It's like they will add it to it to make it a. This is like a cursive way of writing it if you want to say. So originally it will be this, but they will make it like this for to curse it and then ha, like it will go like that. So this they make into cursive. This can understand once you start reading it, and then they make it like a conjunct consonant clusters. That's what I was telling you. Then huh, sure, huh, like X, how the X comes. Sure, sure. That is KSH. Exactly this is where this letter comes. Okay, so then uh, so it is the cursive way as I said, because you write the on the line or above line because they make a line out of it. So that's how they club the words. So that's how they made it. Okay, uh, so it is highly phonetic, as I explained, and you can pronounce it exactly, and it will be same way will be pronounced. Like if it is Sanskrit, it will be same. I can tell you. Otherwise, it's not Sanskrit. In other words, it will become different immediately, and it is very organized because consider it's like your sound. Like if you play the piano everywhere, it should sound. If you're playing that note, it will be same everywhere. So it's like that, and but you have to learn it, you have to read it, and for Sanskrit you have to, they say it takes like several years to learn it. So it is in English, you like kids started writing English, reading English because as a mother tongue, even though that may not be mother tongue, but they can. Sanskrit you cannot, you have to learn it. Like it will take some time because it's a grammatical thing. Consider like you have to learn the calculus, not the summation probably you will understand it, but not the calculus. So it's a linguistic, grammatical rules are that complex, so you have to understand it. Okay, so it is the wonderful thing. I hope you like it, and I don't know. I made too many, uh, but what I will do is I will using this. I'll create the slides, and then my presentation will be within limit of 15 minutes. That's what I wanted to. But in order to create the presentation, I need to put all my thoughts behind it. So it was more bigger. Hope you like it. If you like, please let me know as usual. Thank you very much. Have a great day.